All right, so in this video, I'm going to introduce you guys to the testing phases of my B2 Audio Rage setup that I have here in my 2018 Chevy Impala. Right now, what you guys are looking at is a small amp rack that I built just to secure the door speaker amplifier and the subwoofer amplifier into the trunk in order to do my testing. The door speaker amplifier is the Rage 1200.4 by B2 Audio, and the subwoofer amplifier is the 7800 by B2 Audio, also part of their Rage series of amplifiers. If you guys are wondering what this is all about, this is actually a fuse holder that I constructed on my CNC router, and I'm using it as a speaker terminal right now because, of course, you got a dual subwoofer enclosure setup right here. That means that there are 8 available terminals, and which is why I use a 4-spot fuse holder for that setup. In practicality, this is actually what the fuse holder is used for, but it kind of came in handy until I can get myself fashioned some actual speaker terminals for 4 spots. The subwoofers for this build is also by B2 Audio. These are their Rage XL12s. They are 3,500 watts RMS, giving a total RMS value of 7,000 watts for subwoofer. This enclosure is around 4 cubic foot net. That's after displacement, a little bit more than that. It is of a slot port design, tuned to roughly 30 hertz, and it has a port area of around 60 square inches. The entire system is being ran off of the Headway lithium iron phosphate cells. These are their 38120 HP cells, maximum discharge rating of around 240 amps. I have a 6P cell setup right here. This is a 4S6P setup right here for this battery, giving a total of 48 amp hours. This was originally a 96 amp hour, but one will be going under the hood, and there's one actually located underneath the amp rack. So if you would like to see how I got to this particular point in the build, sit back, grab yourself a drink or a snack, because this is going to be a long one. So let's take a closer look at that Rage 7800. The Rage 7800 come packaged in a very fancy looking package, to be honest with you, though it is a minimalistic styling. It simply has the name of the amplifier right there on the front, and it has the B2 Audio logo embossed on top. On the other end, at the rear of it, you will see that it has its "Never Can Be Too Loud" logo here, and on the bottom it has a mission statement to the customer here, and letting them know that this amplifier doesn't ask permission, it takes over. So that kind of lets you know what you're getting yourself into when you're buying an 8,000 watt amplifier from a series called Rage. Opening up the box, you will see that once again on the top lid of the amplifier, you will see that it has some graphs there. And one of the first graphs to your left there is actually an audio precision graph rating at 1 kilohertz. So keep in mind that this is a full range mono block amplifier, and you want to test your full range capabilities at 1 kilohertz. However, I'll be using this as a bass amplifier, and for that you want to test at 40 hertz, and that's what the second graph is giving you, that response curve. The amplifier comes covered in this black closed-cell foam. Once again, I like this foam. It's a cleaner foam, and I think it adds more protection than simple styrofoam. And once again, B2 Audio have done the work. They've molded the shape of the foam to the shape of the items on the inside, and this adds better protection to the contents. You have your bass remote. You have a very long bass remote wire, along with a set of Allen keys and wood screws. The Rage 7800 has an IMS power rating of 2,400 watts to 2,600 watts at 4 ohms. It has a 4,200 watts to 4,500 watts rating at 2 ohms. And it has a 7,800 watts to an 8,000 watt rating at 1 ohm. It has a frequency response from 10 hertz to 12.5 kilohertz, denoting it as a full range amplifier. and it has an input sensitivity of 6 volts down to 0.2 volts. The Rage 7800 comes with a pretty fancy bass remote here. Once again, it comes covered in plastic, and it has a couple of mounting screws along with it. The mounting screws seems to be about a 1/2 inch long, and they are Phillips screws. These are coarse thread screws, so shouldn't have any problem getting them in a panel somewhere within the car. The bass remote itself has a digital meter right there on the front, and it does display voltage and temperature. This one does. It has a power light indicator, and it has a clip light indicator to boot. It's always good to see a clip light on the bass remote to kind of let you know when you need to turn things down a bit. On the rear, you can see that you can control the temperature in Celsius or in Fahrenheit. Just depends on what your preference or what part of the world you're in. It also has an RJ45 Cat 7 cable, I want to say this is. It has 8 connectors, which denoted as being a Cat 7. This is the cable itself. I believe this cable is 15 feet long, I want to say. Plenty of length to reach from the rear of most sedans and SUVs. Here's a closer look at the cable itself, and yeah, I think I see 8 connectors there, denoting that this is a Cat 7 cable. You get a couple set of Allen keys with this amplifier. Please take note of the fact that there is one larger than the other one, and the reason for that is because you have one for your power inputs and you have one for your speaker inputs. And once again, you got coarse thread screws that seems to have Phillips, I believe these are panhead screws. The user manual also comes wrapped in plastic, and this is something you do not want to throw away. A lot of people make the mistake of misplacing this, and then later on down the road you forget little things about the amplifier that you wish you hadn't have. Like some of the wiring schematics, like this one here is a mono, so it should be a no-brainer for most people, but it does have 4 connectors on there that may confuse some people. So just keep location of your user manual so that you would know how to connect your power, your grounds, and you would also know what your power ratings are for different types of impedance ratings you may be connecting with your gear. The 7800 is 22 inches in length, around 6.5 inches in width. It has a height of 2.5 inches, and it weighs 15 pounds. The 7800 is what some people would consider a surfboard style amplifier. It is not a very wide amplifier, but it is a very long amplifier. As you guys can see right here on the front, it has 4 speaker inputs. These are 2 negatives and 2 positives. And keep in mind that this is a mono amplifier, so those inputs are summed. It has your bass remote input right there. That's the phone style connector. It does have left and right RCAs there. Those are Tiffany style RCAs. We love to see that because they don't shake and wiggle a whole lot. It's been secured with an extra screw, and we like to see that. It has your low pass filter, your high pass filter, and your gain adjustment right there on the front. Moving on, you have a level EQ and you have a bass EQ. So basically, if you want to boost a certain frequency point, you can do it by setting the bass EQ, and the level EQ is how many dBs you want to boost that point. It has a protect, clip, and power light. Always good to see a clip protect light on here. Primarily for me, because that's how I set the gain sometimes. And right here you have your positive power wire terminals. It is a dual input here, and of course the ground has to match whatever the positive have, so it's also a dual input. So keep in mind that it'll be 4 runs of 0 gauge for this amplifier, so keep that in mind whenever you're doing your budget for your build. The 7800 does come equipped with 4 turbo fans. They are in a push and pull configuration. I believe to the right, to what we're looking at now, is the pushing, and this right here would be the pulling. So it would be going across the board in one direction. One side of the amplifier will be an input, and the other side of the amplifier will be an output. Always good to see this on an amplifier with this much power. Have those turbo fans on and keep things cool during your SPL operations. So right now what I want to show you guys is the Allen keys and exactly how they differ. You have one that is smaller than the other one, and the reason for that is because, of course, the power and ground, they're big, so they're gonna need a big old Allen key. And then you have your speaker terminals on the other end that are not so big, and they're gonna need a smaller Allen key. Also, on the positive power wire input side, in between those two inputs, you have a smaller input for the remote, and that smaller Allen key also fits that one. As previously stated, these are 1-aught terminals or 0-gauge terminals. I went and found the biggest one that I had in my arsenal, which is the Colossus Flex 5000 strand 0-gauge wire. This is oversized 0-gauge wire, and if it fits in here, then surely you wouldn't have any issue with an American wire gauge standard wire. And it's cool to see that B2 Audio has compensated for us guys that use these big old wires and made the terminals a suitable size to fit that. And as stated previously, the smaller Allen key is not only just for the speaker wires, but it's also for the remote wire in between the positive inputs for power. And right now, just to prove a point, it does fit 8-gauge wire. This is from Sky High Audio, and sometimes Sky High also oversize everything that they develop. So once again, it does have AWG on here though, so it is up to the 8-gauge standard set by the American wire gauge. And now for an more suitable application for this. Once again, you guys just seen it for yourself. 8-gauge wire is, if you got it, this is what you want to use for this, but you don't always have to use what fit the biggest in here. It depends on the length of the wire, the material that you're using, and things of that nature. This is the dual enclosure that I'm going to be using to install the Rage XL12s. Now, the thing about this is that I only have 2 bolts in the side of this enclosure for speaker terminals, and I'm kind of over that. I kind of want to do something new here, and what I've been coming up with is different ways to fabricate my own equipment. And right now what you guys are seeing is a prototype fuse holder that I'm actually fabricating. This is a 4-spot one, and it has some mistakes in it. I know some of you probably looking at this like, well, other than it being wood, it looks pretty good to you, but trust me, it has a few things that is wrong with it. But what it would be perfect for is a 4-spot, or in this case, for a dual enclosure subwoofer install, because I can get each voice coil. You get where I'm going with this? This can be voice coil 1, negative and positive, voice coil 2, negative and positive for the subwoofer. So this will be sub 1, and this will be sub 2, and this would be each voice coil for the subwoofer. So that's kind of where I'm going with this. Instead of throwing it away, this is still pretty good stock, and it's still usable. The additional 4 holes here are mounting holes. I'm just want to let you guys know that if when you see this on the back of the box, that's what it is. This is just a piece of strap from some prototyping that I did, or that I'm doing, that didn't come out quite right. So this is gonna be my speaker terminal for now. And so just in case you guys are curious exactly as to how this works, right now what you guys have is a hardware. So this is 1 3/4 inch bolt. And what we're gonna be using is a washer, locking washer, and actually a locking nylon nut. Okay, so now, as you guys can tell, there is a slight of a recess there. And this is what you would do. You would use a washer here, right? And once you use the washer, what you want is to get your speaker terminal. Let's turn this around. Get your speaker terminal, put that on there. Get your locking washer, place that on there, and then you would get a locking nut. But in short, that's how it would work. This will be coming from your subwoofer internally, and externally, this goes to the amplifier. So you got that thick piece of metal right there as a secured fit. This metal is always gonna be, in most cases, gonna be thicker than the wire you're using. Okay, and it's stainless steel. So that's it. You know, I just kind of want to bring to you guys what I'm doing here in case you see it and be like, what the heck is that hanging on the side of this box? It's a repurposed fuse holder. And for everyone out there wondering, like, what's the benefit of having all of these, you know, different connectors externally? Like what's the benefit of it? Can't I just do this? Can I just wire my subwoofer, you know, the way I've been wiring it and only use like this guy? Like, we've been using these for years. So why we got to use all this? Well, the perk to it is this. So having this externally allows you to wire that subwoofer voice core in parallel, right? Or you can wire them in series. Instead of uninstalling your subwoofers and rewiring them to meet the impedance value of your new amplifier, you can just do it right here on the side of the box. Very, very simple. You don't have to uninstall anything anymore. You just take little jumper wires, jump them from however to however you want, and this is how you would ease your installation by buying something like this, making something like this, implementing something like this. So that'll be the perk of having something like this versus something like this, okay? Single voice core subwoofer, this is perfect. You know, but a dual voice core subwoofer has 4 available inputs, so you would need a speaker terminal with 4 available inputs. It just eases your life a bit, especially for someone who is constantly changing gear. Like I test, so I'm always changing gear, and some people always moving on to the next thing. So for those people, this will be for you. All right, so as you guys can tell, I got this thing wired up. I got everything labeled. Subwoofer 1, of course, have 4 connections. This is a voice coil, that's a voice coil. Subwoofer 2 have 4 connections. This is a voice coil, that is a voice coil. All right, right now I have these wired in series. Each of these voice coils is 1 ohm. So I'm gonna bring them up a 2 ohm load. This is gonna be a 2 ohm load. Then I'm going to wire them in parallel to the amplifier. When you wire them in parallel, it's going to bring it in half, the impedance value, to 1 ohm. And 1 ohm is what my amplifier is stable at. So let me show you how I do that. These 2 available terminals right here would be what goes out to your amplifier. So I'm going to have 4 leads in total going out to the amplifier. All right, so this is pretty much where we are right now. I know this looks a little bit weird because I ran out of the lugs. I don't have any more lugs, so I had to go DIY and kind of hack this wire. I just twisted the wire under the boat. I used 2 washers to sandwich it down. I've done this in the past, it works. Until I can get me some more lugs, this is what it's gonna be. So, oh yeah, I forgot to tell y'all, you can also buy these type of, this is some copper bus bars that I was making, right? They're not a finished product. This was actually 1 long strip, and it had a lot of these on there, little holes in there. And I was like, well, you know what? I can make little bus bars, individual bus bars out of this instead of having 1 big bus bar. I broke them down into little individual bus bars. You can buy these or make them yourself. And guess what? It looks even neater up here than running all these wires. These wires look a little bit funky, I must admit. I mean, it looks better than what some people have, but we're not talking about them. We're talking about what we can do. And what we could do is just purchase or make us a little bus bar like this, and that'll be an even cleaner of an install. Just a little pro tip from me to you. All right, so this is what it looks like right now. As you guys can see, I got my terminal plate in there. So I got everything just ready to plug and play for tomorrow. Is there anything more beautiful than seeing them blue lights come on? I don't think so. Beautiful, everything working in tandem. Problem is, no speakers are connected to the subs yet, so I don't know if I have turn on pop, turn off pop. All that stuff will be later on down the road. Just a fuse block there. I still have to incorporate him on his own little fuse block. And of course, this one right here is for the subwoofer amplifier because it has 2 outputs. I also have to relocate this guy right here to that fuse block as well. But anyway, the stages that we're in right now is that the doors are playing, they are on, but the subwoofers are not playing. The B2 Audio Rage XL12 come packaged in manufacturer's brown box. It actually was triple packaged. This is always good to see because with subwoofers weighing around 60-something pounds, you want to make sure that everything is protected from an accidental drop or fall. The XL12 have an RMS power rating of 3,500 watts. Yes, that's 3,500 watts RMS with a peak dynamic rating of 10,000 watts, which is why B2 Audio has opted for an 880 ounce magnet. Yep, that's a 55-pound magnet, and you need this type of protection in order to ship it. So that's why I was glad when I seen the type of foam that they chose to incorporate within the packaging, because this is a nice foam. It is soft yet sturdy. I like it when I see this, and I also like the fact that they contoured the shape of this foam around the entire subwoofer. As you guys can see here, the sides, bottom, and top are completely covered in this foam. So good job for B2 Audio. Gotta point it out when the manufacturer's doing it right. Inside the box, you will see that you have these mounting gaskets right here. This is for the fact that the XL12 have a metal mounting ring all the way around, so you don't have any rubber gasket there on these mounting flanges, so you have to do all that yourself. More on that later. Here's another look at that molded foam insert that they provided for the subwoofer. Once again, good quality stuff. Just kind of wanted to bring you guys in on it, let you know what you're going to get before you purchase. The XL12 is also completely covered in plastic. It's always good to see when the manufacturers put these in the plastic, because during shipping, you really don't know all that these items go through. You have rain, snow, sleet, dust. Anything that gets in that voice coil can actually hurt the subwoofer. So to see that it's protected is always a good thing. It's very low cost and very effective. The XL12 come with a B2 Audio signature red, black, and white colorway. It has a black boot on it with an all-white gloss finish on the basket. The metal mounting ring has the B2 Audio logo on them with the presence of 4 machine screws holding it in place. The XL12 has an overall diameter of 12.25. It has a mounting diameter of 11.1. That's your cutout. Its bolt pattern is 11.57, and it has an overall depth of 12.1 inches. And that gives you a mounting depth of around 10.1 inches. If you're planning on building a box for this, keep in mind that it has a displacement of around 0.3 cubic foot, or that'll be 8.9 liters for people in the UK. The cone and dust cap of this subwoofer is fully carbon fiber, and it has the B2 logo right there front and center. It has a progressively rolled spider with 4 runs of tensile lead per voice coil. It has a high temperature coated 3-inch voice coil with 4-gauge push terminals for your connections. I have opted for the dual 1-ohm versions of the XL12, and I will be installing 2 of these wired down to 1 ohm. The Rage XL has a frequency response of 10 Hz to 500 Hz and a sensitivity of 88.6 decibels. B2 Audio has opted for a very tall surround on this subwoofer. Coupled with the progressively rolled spider, it is able to achieve an X max of 30 millimeters one way and an X mechanical limit of 52 millimeters one way. This is a very high excursion subwoofer. The Rage XL has a QTS of 0.49 and a resonant frequency of 28 Hertz. All right, so I left my other camera at home and I'm using my phone. So if the sound quality is different, that's the reason why. I'm getting ready to do the demo, and what I want to do is actually compare this bass head garage bass meter to that of the one I've been using for years, which is the SPL Labs mini bass meter. This thing right here has never failed me. It's pretty handy. You can, throw it in the footwell, stick it to the glass with the little suction cups. This is a tried and proven device right here. This one right here is a new kid on the block. The bass head garage, I think they're calling this the DB. So it's the BHG DB. I have no experience with this at all. I went online and looked up some stuff. Other than a few videos that I've seen people using it, it looks pretty, I don't know anything about it. It looks pretty straightforward though. You have the plus, negative, and the R stand for remote. That's your wiring option for this. It has a Molex connector right here. These are the same style of connectors you get with like PC hardware, specifically that of the graphic cards. These are their power connector styles, and also CPU fans and stuff. So these things are, once they go in, they're not easily pulled out. However, this right here I don't know about. I mean, I've had devices such as this as well with this style of wiring connector. Basically, this is a screw type or screw style. You stick the wires in those holes, use a small flathead screwdriver to twist them down, and once you twist them down, it will pull that metal plate up, securing a tight hold onto the wire. If you don't have the correct size wire, if your wire is too long, with them being this close apart, you will create shorts with these things. So they're not really meant, these connectors are not really meant for something that is supposed to be handled a whole lot, because those things can wiggle themselves out. So with these style connectors on a mini bass meter, I don't know how sustainable it is. Hopefully they'll come out with a different style of connector. However, as you can see to the right, it's also equipped with a USB-C style connector. That's a promising and a lot more, it gives me more confidence to see the USB-C style connector on there. I like that. So I think that's all you need to get up and running. So that's what we're gonna do. It comes with suction cups. I think these ones, I don't remember, but I think they were pre-mounted on the mini bass meter by SPL Lab. However, these ones right here, you have to actually install yourself. So it has a it has a nut and bolt system here, in which you stick into those flanges right here, and then that'll give you your suction cups. And so you can mount it to the dash, to the windows, to whatever that these suction cups would actually adhere to. So we're gonna go ahead and get that installed, and then we'll start with the demo. The mounting of these suction cups are pretty straightforward. I would think most people would actually get it without me actually showing you this. But there is a little caveat to this, so I'm gonna show it to you. All right, so as you guys can see, I have this one here on. But if you have big fingers like the ones I have, you may find it a bit difficult once you slide this guy in like this. Trying to twist that nut. Where's the nut? Here we go. So taking this nut, trying to get it, I mean, like I can't even hardly hold this thing like now, right? Like, it's not the easiest thing to do because it's so close to the housing, right? So what I actually did was I just set the nut on top, maybe get a couple threads going, right? Yeah. I'm trying to do this with one hand. And what you would want to do from here, now that you got like 2 or 3 threads on there, just flip it over hole than that, because now you got something else to twist, right? You can screw it on down like this. I know some people gonna look at that like, duh, but believe it or not, it took me about 30 seconds to figure it out. So, in those moments where you're not as smart as a fifth grader, there you have it. Let's move on with the demo. During the initial testing of this system, we did run into a major issue. After conducting the bass sweep, we found a peak value of around 30 hertz. We conducted that test and we ran into impedance rise that halted us from continuing any further. And this is the portion of the video where we explain why we had to do the rewiring. All right, so we got everything reset. And what we're gonna be doing now is turning off this AC. We don't need that. Turn it off. And we're gonna set this to 29 hertz and we're gonna do the burp. Our application is now set at 29 hertz, and that's what we're gonna be doing our burp at. We're gonna crawl into this. I'm gonna hit play and then I'm gonna slowly increase the volume, keeping my eye on clipping and voltage. Let's go. All right, we brought that all the way up to clipping. We got a 143 with the mini SPL meter, and we have a 142.67 with the bass head garage. The bass head garage does measure 29 hertz correctly. I know the mini SPL meter does very, very good on frequency, and it's great to see that the bass head garage one is doing its job as well. And it's very convenient to have it right there with the SPL score. That was 3,689 watts at 2.7 ohms of impedance. So we do have some rise. I have these sets, they are wired down to 1 ohm. But, you know, as you guys can see, we do have some rise there, more than double. Probably due to the small enclosure. This is a 4 cube, it's recommended 5. You can go as minimum, I believe, as 3. So I'm in that sweet medium, but at the same time, I'm still getting rise. So that is affecting our SPL score. And as you guys can see, we never failed. I don't believe we failed below 14 volts. So that's not the issue. At this point in testing, it's evident that in order to get the most potential out of this system, we are going to have to do a rewire. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to wire it down to a 1/4 ohm, and we're going to compensate for the rise times 4, and hopefully we can come to a 1 ohm load. And as you guys can see, subwoofer 1 and subwoofer 2, both their positive and negatives are ran together. That's what you want for parallel wiring. These blue wires over here, of course, those are the speaker wires. I'm going to be running them in parallel as well. And they are already paralleled right there. And we'll be at a 1/4 ohm in theory. But like I said, the enclosure, the environment, the pressure built up inside of the environment is going to dictate all that. So let me go ahead and do that and we'll get to testing. All right, so as you guys can see, we're back in the Impala. And right now, we're testing these guys. These are the B2 Audio Rage XL12s. These are 3,500 watts a piece, and I'm running the B2 Audio Rage 7800 on them to power them. To test our SPL levels, we're going to be using 2 different bass meters. To your right, you have the mini bass meter by SPL Labs. This little guy right here I've been using for years. He's tried and true. But now we got a new kid on the block. That is the bass head garage mini bass meter. And a lot of people say that it's pretty accurate, it's pretty good. So today we're going to be seeing what is the differences between these two. How much of a difference do they measure? We already know that when you go into lanes and whatever and you're competing, the judges are going to have their own equipment. As far as personal and tuning your system, these right here get you where you need to go. So cost points, I believe this little guy right here still markets for around 200 bucks. And this one here is a bit cheaper at around 150 bucks or so. So we're going to see in this video exactly what the difference is in between the two. Like I said, tried and true, been out for years. And this is a new kid on the block. Been out about a year and a half or so. To test our power levels, we're going to be using the AMM1 by SMD. This is Steve Mead's design. He partnered with Demore Engineering, and this is their baby. That thing has a dyno mode that gives you your power value and impedance value in wattages and in ohms, and it allows you to see exactly what kind of impedance that you're rising to in your system, and then what wattage did you get it at. This bass knob right here actually came with the Rage 7800 amplifier, and it has voltage, clip, and temperature settings right there on this LED screen. So we're going to just leave this guy here turned all the way up in order to keep an eye on our voltage. I'm going to be controlling the volume from the actual head unit. Starting things off, we're going to be doing a bass sweep. You need to do a bass sweep in order to see where you peak at in your cabin. Each vehicle is going to be a little bit different because of different surfaces and volume levels and things of that nature. Volume meaning how many cubic foot or cubic feet your cabin is. It's going to be different from cabin to cabin. So we want to know what frequency do I peak at in this environment with that box. Once we find this frequency, we're going to then max it out and do an SPL test on it. But first, the bass sweep. This is going to sweep down from 150 hertz to 20 hertz, and this is going to be 30-second duration. We're going to get the volume around half the way. I'm going to say about a third of the way. That's about all you need for a bass sweep. You don't need to max nothing out. We're going to make sure that both of these are on peak holds. Just press the little button on the bass head garage one. Above the dB, you see the word peak. And when this one's flashing, it's already at peak mode. You got to cycle through the menu to do that. But anyway, all right, so right now my voltage is sitting at 14.3. Pretty strong voltage right there. What we're going to do now, we're going to hit the go button for the bass sweep. All right, that's 20 hertz. Let's see what we got. We got a 124.9 on the mini bass meter by SPL Lab. We got a 124.39 on the bass head garage one. So definitely some discrepancies there. That's more than a half dB off. The bass head garage measuring a lot lower than that of the mini bass meter by SPL Lab. So there wasn't a lot of power. There was only about 100 watts at about 0.8 ohms of impedance. Of course, you don't want the bass sweep done at a very, very high level. What we want to do now is see what frequency both these guys picked up on. Bass head garage is saying 34 hertz. Now let's cycle through here and see what the mini bass meter by SPL Lab is saying. You go to mode, and it's also saying 34 hertz. So what we're going to do now, we're going to turn the volume up a smidget, around right there, a little bit more. And we're going to see what it says now. Turn back around and get everything reset. All right, we got everything reset. Let's run that back. 150 hertz to 20 hertz. that got them moving. All right, so that's 399 watts at 0.6 ohms of impedance. It's a lot of rise. I got the box actually wired down to a 1/4 ohm. I had to do that because the previous tests were horrible. It rose almost to 5 volts. I mean to 5 ohms, and I had them wired in at 1 ohm. But because of the box and the compression, you're gonna get some box rise. Voltage looks good, never dropped below 14 volts. And right now we got a 132.24 with the bass head garage at 33 hertz. Over here we got a 132.3 from the mini bass meter as well. So these are looking pretty close right now, unlike it was previous. Also 32, well that says 32 hertz, and this one here says 33 hertz. So what are you guys gonna do? I'm gonna go for 32 hertz because I believe that's the tuning of that box. I believe the box is tuned to 30 hertz. I'm gonna go for 32 hertz because I think the lower frequency will be easier on the SPL demo. So that's what we're gonna go for, 32 hertz. All right, so we got everything reset and we're going in at 32 hertz. 32 hertz, here we go. I'm gonna take it up to clipping. All right, we took it all the way up to clipping. Voltage still looking good at 14. 7,479 watts at 0.8 ohms of impedance. That got good power out of it. 144 across the board at 32 hertz. 144 across the board at 32 hertz. So there you go, them glass scores. And what we're gonna do this time, we're gonna drop it down to, we're gonna bump it up to 33 hertz, and we're gonna see what we can get out of it then. I got it reset at 34 hertz. We're gonna see what we can get out of it right now at 34 hertz. Let's clear this out. Wiring them down at 25 was amazing. It did really, really good. So here we go again. 34 hertz. All right, you guys know I don't believe in burning up my sub, so I'm not gonna clip it for too long. 7,186 watts at 0.8 ohms of impedance. Whoo, giving them the beans, baby. Okay, we got, again, same thing, 144.4 across the board. I wonder if I relocate the meters, where would I be then? I'm gonna leave them there for now. These are personal tests, and we're gonna do an outlaw run. There is a wall right here, in case anybody's wondering. There's a wall. We're gonna get everything reset, and we're gonna run it back. All right, I'm gonna leave it on 34 hertz, and we're gonna test it outlaw style. Now this driver's door open. Let's go, 34 hertz. Here we go. Let's see what we got here. 7,098 watts at 0.9 ohms of impedance. That's 34 hertz. And on the dash, we lost. Actually, it's better sealed up. So we got a 142.9. Let's see if we drop the frequency any. We're gonna go to 30 hertz. Let's go to 30 hertz and see what it does at 30 hertz. I've been curious about that because when I'm playing my rebass music, this thing seems like it gets aggressive in the lower notes. So let's go. These things are gonna be back to back. I'm not even gonna pause this. They're gonna be back to back. Let's reset and let's get it. 30 hertz. Damn, knock the damn meter down. Okay, let's turn that down. How much was that? 7,779 watts at 0.7 ohms of impedance. Jesus, this thing's just blasting my ears just then. 144.2 fold at 30 hertz. That's what it knocked this one off the glass. I know that's an inaccurate reading, whatever it is. 144.9. I guess not. That sounds about right. If we can see the frequency, right? Let's see if I can. For anybody that's gonna say it's weird, right? 30 hertz. So it's a 144 across the board. Doesn't matter what frequency you play. The box is very, very balanced. I guess that's a testament to the design of the enclosure itself. You get 144s in between that point spread, which is what, in between 30 and 40? No, 30 and 34 was the same. So let's try 28 hertz and see what we get for that. All right, let's try 28 hertz. Outlaw. It loves low frequencies, and I feel that every time I play that rebass music, it feels stronger with lower frequencies. So here we go. 28 hertz. Man, I swear I feel like a fan on up in here. This is crazy. 7,753 watts at 0.7 ohms of impedance. Still holding strong at 14. I don't think we're dropping below 14 volts. We got a 144.5 over here on the mini bass meter, but the bass head garage says something different. And just to prove to y'all, these ain't no tricks. This ain't no tricks now. 28 hertz, baby. And I think it can go lower like that. I'm thinking down to 25, but I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm in the garage. I don't want to run this thing like that. Let me turn it off. But you guys see it for yourself, man. The box, well-balanced box. It performs the way it's supposed to perform. And these subs are taking the beams. I don't smell them. They're not even warm. Not at these low frequencies and burps anyway. They're not even warm. Just an amazing set of subs, and they're brand new. They haven't even been broken in, guys. They're not broken in. And you see it for yourself. That amp is putting out the power, man. It's putting out the power. Now, I know some people are gonna look at this. This is what the people that skip through the video, this is what they're gonna say. They're gonna look at this video and they're gonna be like, how he got 2 Rage XLs and he only getting 144 on the dash? He should get a 150. He should be getting this. He should be getting that. Not with this box, bro. This a music box. This for people like music at low frequencies. This is a musical box. This is not an SPL box. SPL boxes for these guys need to be 5 Qs and bigger. This 4 Qs, bro. 4 Qs, you don't believe me? I know some of y'all don't believe me. I know some of y'all ain't gonna believe it. You gotta be shown. Some of y'all from Missouri. Look how much space I got in that trunk. You see that? See how small that box is? You see how small it is? Ain't got nothing to do with, look, that's the design of the box. That's how the box is built. It's a small box. I still got, what, almost half my trunk. This box I built for the amps is hell. It ain't even coming all the way back. This the back of the trunk here. Some of y'all be taking up all your trunk. Some of y'all be having 7 Qs, 8 Q box just to bust a 150. 7, 8 Qs box just to bust a 150. I don't gotta do all that. I do believe if I make this a 5 Q, a 150 wouldn't be hard for me at all. And this is just a bass reflex. This ain't no horn. This ain't no transmission line. This ain't nothing special. This ain't no bandpass box. That's a bass reflex box. It's strong as you know what, and it's built and tuned right. I believe I can bust 144s from 25 all the way up to about 40. I can bust 145s. Those are low frequencies. It's tuned. I think it has a tuning frequency of around 30 or 32 hertz. But if you put the right subs in a box like this, you can get that flat response all the way across. This ain't no Burt box with them big old humps in the response graph. Your transfer function magnitudes ain't right. Y'all building Burt boxes, some of y'all going buying them Burt boxes. Get something that's balanced and it's gonna sound good on all your frequencies. You understand? But anyway, that's enough of me talking about it. You see it for yourself. The subs are amazing. Fans never even kicked on. This thing ain't even warm. Of course it wasn't played for a long time, but that's a testament to the quality of this, and I do believe I can get more power out of that amp. I do believe it. I don't believe in soft clipping my amps, and when I set my gains and stuff, I don't do all that. I don't do all that craziness. I give it what it needs, and that's it. You know, some people when they set their gains, they give it like a 10 or 15% overhead, and that's your preference. I'm not knocking nobody to do that. I'm just saying I don't do that. But when you do that, you can potentially get a little bit more out of the performance of the subs if they are high excursion subwoofers, which these are. These are. This is my little studio setup, and you talking about happy. But like I said earlier, man, I don't have to hype them. These things just perform. They are worth the money. If you're gonna spend that much money on a sub, this is what you want. And I just noticed, something, man. Somebody gonna cuss me out. Watch this. I just noticed something. This is an even further testament why somebody gonna say, that's why he didn't get that 150. Look at it. Damn screws ain't even all the way in. Can y'all see that? Probably not. Screws ain't even all the way in the box. I'm looking at about 4 of them like that. Probably had air leaks around there and everything, but whatever, man. This is a test, right? All right, so now it's time for the music demo. Same setup. Got these 2 boards up here. We're gonna see what we're doing on music. I like this one because it gives you instant frequency. I kind of like that. But anyway, we're gonna be playing some royalty-free music. This is all YouTube audio library that I found quite some time ago. They got some good bass beat, but it's not gonna be all hip-hop. This one here is called T-Rex Audio Hertz, okay? So let's get this thing cranked up. Here we go. All right, like I said, that one there got some nice little bass drops to it. Look at this. That's a 34 hertz bass drop. I always wondered what that frequency was. That's nice. So let's go to the next track. And I'm not maxing it out, guys. I'm just getting the cone moving for you. Like this one here ain't hip hop at all. It's called Ya Ya by Josh Pan. Let's reset everything. Here we go. When I tell y'all, listen, when I tell y'all that these things play everything, they play everything, not just hip hop, not just low music, they play everything. Let's see what that was. That was 41 hertz, a 136 and a 137.7 over here, 41 hertz. And this ain't, look, This ain't outlaw. This ain't even with the door open or the windows. This is sealed up completely. If you open the door, you already know you're getting louder, but I'm not gonna do that. Let's go to the next one. Hit me on my way. These some good tracks for y'all to test your own stuff with, royalty free. Do your demos. Told y'all, they play everything. They play everything. This is signature B2 audio performance right here. Let's look what that was. That was 33 hertz, 140, pretty much a 140 at 33 hertz. They play everything, guys. I got one more for y'all. I'm gonna play one track. I'm looking for this one track. I think it's this one here, Pretty Boy. That's it. Look here, man. I done told y'all, these things play everything. They're like 140s almost across the board. That's on music. Everybody they got this whole thing about playing music. Music ain't nothing but a string of sine waves. I don't understand why everybody tripping on this whole play your music and see what you, whatever. So the thing is this, they play everything, guys. These subwoofers are worth your money. They're worth your money. They're very musical. In a larger enclosure, you're talking mid 140s, 50s. You can get a 150 out of these things very, very easily. They have the motor force. They have the mechanical travel. They got the cone area. This is what you want. Thanks for visiting the channel to help you simplify car audio. It's the Budget Basshead, and I'm out.